In the year 2019, the world is attacked by aliens who instantly cut off electricity and restrict access to Earth's resources, making it impossible for humanity to fight back. Unable to resist a more formidable and powerful enemy, the governments of most countries decide to surrender and conform. The army disarticulates under the orders of the extraterrestrials, who become the legislators. However, not everyone is willing to accept this fate. Detective Jack Drummond decides to leave Chicago with his family to regroup and resist the enemy. Ignoring the prohibitions and barricades, he tries to escape the city, but the aliens stop him. His escape fails, and the aliens eliminate his family, leaving only his sons Raphael and Gabriel alive under the new rule of Earth. The aliens confiscate resources and start building sealed zones in every major city. Humanity is imprisoned in cages, forced to work underground to construct an alien habitat. The only functional authority is the police, which conducts regular inspections and deports anyone considered undesirable. All digital communication has been interrupted due to interference, and police and politicians communicate directly with the legislators, receiving directives for their actions. In 2026, a small resistance group attempts to attack a sealed zone to provoke a global uprising, but the plan fails. However, their objectives remain unchanged. Chicago, 9 years after the alien invasion, a special police unit operating in the suburbs is able to monitor every person through thousands of hidden cameras and tracking devices embedded in their bodies. William Mulligan, the head of the unit, watches Gabriel Drummond, Jack's youngest son, who recently attempted to orchestrate a terrorist act with his older brother Raphael, aiming to destroy the sealed zone. He and his accomplices were eliminated, but now the police must determine if Gabriel has any connection to them. Gabriel knows he is being watched via various devices, but this does not stop him from spending time with his girlfriend. In the morning, he meets with his best friend and evades a nosy neighbor who watches him from the window. Trying to evade surveillance, the boys flee and find a mural dedicated to Gabriel's deceased brother. Climbing to the roof of a building, they observe the alien lair that leads to underground depths. Despite the fear of being labeled as rebels, Jurgis dreams of the day when people will again be masters of their own fate and will no longer submit to the aliens. Meanwhile, William reads the latest edition of the newspaper and finds an ad for a company called Phoenix, offering fire protection. He realizes this is a coded message from the resistance group, indicating that not all opponents were eliminated during the last terrorist attack. Shortly after, William visits a woman named Jane, who is easy to approach, but he is there only to pick up a package. She would be happy to spend the night with him, knowing no one would catch him, but he is strictly there for business and has no intention of breaking established rules. Upon returning to the precinct, William informs his assistant that the resistance is still active and may be planning a new attack. While reviewing case files and old biographies, he tries to find connections to Phoenix to prevent a potential terrorist attack and subsequent conflict with the aliens. Meanwhile, the rebels are indeed preparing for an operation and plan to execute it that very night. The target of the attack is the main soccer stadium, where politicians will gather and possibly alien leaders will arrive to celebrate Unity Day between humanity and extraterrestrial civilization. After meeting with Charles, Patrick heads to a bus where he passes information to a secret man who hides his face. At the same time, Gabriel heads to work in a data recovery center under constant surveillance from cameras, where he must check data drives and copy information for the aliens to analyze potential enemies, separating phone after phone. Gabriel sends all the photos and videos to the server before destroying the data drive. There, he notices a colleague writing something on a piece of paper and hiding it. During the lunch break, the girl sits down next to him and discreetly hands him the note to avoid raising suspicions and exposing them. She uses the note as paper to roll the illicit product and leaves it with Gabriel. After work, he blends into the crowd, but workers from the special unit, masked to conceal their identities, arrive at the park. They detain the woman in front of Gabriel and take her to an unknown destination, deporting her from Earth. Witnessing this, Gabriel realizes he was one step away from exposure and needs to be more careful. Shortly afterward, Gabriel heads to the docks to meet his friend. Jurgis has found a boat they can use to escape the sealed zone and live in a place with less surveillance. Gabriel dreams of breaking free for the sake of his girlfriend, but realizes how much they are risking. He is outraged that Jurgis feels strong just because he bought a revolver, considering him a coward and incapable of real action. A conflict arises between the friends, but the sound of police sirens quickly brings everything back into focus. Leaving his gun behind, he runs, and Gabriel finds the chief of the local precinct. William uses Gabriel as an informant, but treats him well because he was a friend of Gabriel's deceased father. At the same time, the officer warns him not to do anything foolish, or he will end up like his older brother or be eliminated. Later, Gabriel tries to sell a set containing valuable information, but the client shoves him into a van and puts a metal collar around his neck. He takes Gabriel to a devastated part of the city where one of humanity's battles against the aliens occurred. Entering one of the houses damaged by explosions and gunfire, Gabriel finds Raphael and discovers that his older brother survived the failed attack, but needs to remain hidden. This is possible because Raphael removed the tracking device that monitored his location. He gives money to Gabriel and urges him to return to the boat and leave the city as quickly as possible, wishing Gabriel a better future. Raphael lets him go, then sends a pigeon with secret information written on a piece of paper before burning all evidence. Back home, Gabriel pressures Rula to pack quickly because they need to leave the city. The girl does not support this decision. She is happy with the current situation and does not want to change anything. Gabriel tells her that his brother is alive and that he saw him, but this proves futile as the police are eavesdropping on their conversation. Upon learning that one of the resistance leaders is still alive, William urgently reports this information to the alien leadership to formulate a new course of action. Fearing that Gabriel may escape, the officer initiates a hunt for him, tracking him through a locator. Gabriel manages to hide in an abandoned factory, but he is surrounded by hundreds of alien listening devices. Trying to get rid of them and avoid William, he uses the collar to interfere with the tracker signal. After some time, Patrick finds the pigeon that delivered the message. Acting quickly and efficiently, the resistance group prepares for another terrorist attack. They are targeting the next target, the deputy mayor, who will be present at the Unity Day celebration. Charles receives this information and, working at the local newspaper, decides to make an amendment to alert other Phoenix members hidden among the local residents. Spotting a special symbol in the newspaper and hearing a specific song on the radio serving as a code, agents of the underground movement gather in a nightclub before executing the terrorist attack. They meet with a doctor to remove the tracking devices that monitor their locations. The operation is complicated and extremely dangerous, so not everyone survives, but they are willing to take the risk for a greater cause. Immediately after, Patrick goes to the morgue, where he bribes a local worker and buys tracking devices from the dead. The information about these devices will not be entered into the database until after 7 at night, allowing the rebels to use the trackers from the dead to keep their identities hidden and prevent their plans for the next terrorist attack from being discovered. Raphael also begins to act and meets with his friend Edward. After learning about a woman selling a unique item, they schedule a meeting with her to buy a special fabric that belongs to the aliens. This organic material can be used as camouflage, evading security systems and inspections. The possibilities of the transparent material are limitless, so Patrick transforms it into a bomb that requires a double tap to activate, after which a 1-minute countdown will begin. As they finalize preparations for the operation, Raphael's team receives the camouflaged bomb, the dead's tracking devices that will serve as personal identifiers, and a capsule with poison in case they are captured. Knowing their target and the details of the mission, a group of 6 traveling in 2 vehicles heads to the stadium where the Unity Day celebration is taking place. Thousands of people eagerly await a new meeting with the alien legislators. The mayor of Chicago begins his speech, boasting about how beneficial the aliens are, claiming that they have increased the planet's natural resources tenfold and practically eliminated crime. The Phoenix members know this is a lie, as the aliens will soon steal all of Earth's resources and leave it completely uninhabitable. The only way to prevent this is to take the first step toward war, and today is their last chance. Otherwise, it will be too late. Upon arriving at the stadium, the resistance members split up to watch the mayor's assistant during the celebration. Their plan needs to change with the arrival of the legislators, but their mission remains the same. Raphael manages to approach the deputy mayor and, holding the camouflaged bomb, taps twice on his shoulder to activate the timer. After executing his plan, the rebels exit the stadium. A minute later, an explosion occurs, claiming not only the life of the mayor's assistant, but also several aliens. The legislators are furious and begin searching for the criminals, creating chaos throughout the city. Edward becomes a victim of the ensuing gunfire, but most of the rebels manage to escape. Raphael also flees, but encounters an alien in the underground parking lot. The legislator tries to punish the leader of the terrorist group, but Raphael manages to hide in a van. The alien tears apart the vehicle, but other members of the resistance arrive in time to execute him. William watches the events unfold on television and realizes it's time for him to act as well. Meanwhile, Gabriel regains consciousness and realizes that the tracking devices have left him alone. Not releasing the collar, he runs to the boat, only to see it has been burned to prevent him from leaving the area. While Anita burns the evidence that leads to Phoenix, Daniel, and Raphael head for the next target, knowing that time is running out, and soon all the police will be sent to hunt them down. The legislators call in alien hunters since the police are unable to do their job. Police Chief Eugene is summoned to the underground for a personal meeting with the aliens that have occupied Earth for the past 9 years. Shortly after, William meets with Jane again, with whom he has kept in contact. She expresses complete confidence in him and asks to dance before he continues with his work and does what is required of him. At night, the police conduct a sweep of the poor neighborhoods of Chicago, arresting anyone who might be connected to the rebels. Fearing physical retaliation, people dispose of anything that could compromise them. Jurgis tries to resist the chaos, but is brutally beaten for his defiance. Gabriel tries to defend his friend, threatening one of the special department officers with a gun, but William tells him to surrender if he doesn't want to say goodbye to his life. One of the gang members, before fleeing the city, decides to call his wife to say goodbye, since they have a small child. William anticipated this and tracked him down, demanding that he reveal the whereabouts of his accomplices to ensure his wife and child remain safe. Evan is forced to divulge the location of his partners, and alien hunters are dispatched to capture them. Meanwhile, Raphael, Anita, and Daniel head to the train station and buy tickets for different routes to leave Chicago as quickly as possible. They all manage to check in, except Anita, who gets stuck in a long line. Realizing it is almost 7 at night, the girl rushes through the crowd, using a boy as an excuse to pass through the tracking device checkpoint. Resistance members board the buses and prepare to leave, and with no police in sight, it seems they will successfully escape. But moments later, alarms go off, and drivers are forced to stop. Alien hunters appear at the station, searching for resistance members. They manage to locate Daniel, who tries to flee. Realizing it is impossible, the rebel takes the poison capsule and takes his own life. Anita is terrified and ready to run, but Raphael holds her back, hoping everything will turn out right. A minute later, it becomes clear they have also been tracked. Anita tries to escape, but is struck down by an alien hunter and destroyed. Raphael manages to push him aside and escape from the bus. In a desperate situation, the rebel decides to swallow the capsule, but William, who has arrived on the scene, shoots him to prevent him from going through with it. Shortly after, William meets Gabriel in the interrogation room and informs him that the aliens have decided to destroy his district in 10 hours. His home will be wiped off the map, and only he has a chance to stop this, but he must cooperate with the police. Gabriel refuses, but William decides to tell the truth about his brother. He reveals that Raphael has been captured, who is being beaten and interrogated for information. Raphael will be executed if Gabriel does not assist the police, and he reluctantly agrees to become their informant, receiving instructions and a newspaper with the Phoenix symbol. Gabriel meets Raphael and asks to be taken to the leader of the rebels. He knows the police are watching their every move, but is willing to do anything to help his brother. Gabriel exposes the entire resistance group when he meets with Patrick, Charles, and Jane, who is considered the leader of the rebels. Discovering that the leader of the terrorists has been so close to him all this time, William orders a search of her house, during which Jane is executed. Upon arriving at the scene, William's assistant does not believe Jane is the mysterious number 1 who has been leading the rebels. She may have many books and be intelligent, but the woman's gun was not loaded, and her social status does not match her plans. William's assistant discovers a listening device, a hidden camera, and a laptop containing valuable data. Soon after, William arrives in the interrogation room to report to the legislators. He exposes the entire criminal network, from low-level operatives to the movement's leaders, including Charles, Patrick, and Janie. The aliens interrogate William and seem suspicious of him, since he has lived in the same area all this time and could be part of the criminal organization. William vehemently denies this, insisting that he is a police officer who will always stand by the law. Meanwhile, those involved in the Phoenix resistance movement settle their accounts with life, believing this is better than falling into the aliens' hands. Raphael is the only one who not only survived, but also managed to escape from Earth. A few days later, William meets with Gabriel and hands him a data device. The officer is confident that the information on it will explain a lot to Gabriel and reveal the truth. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Rula has been a secret police agent, helping to monitor Gabriel all this time. It turns out that her father, William, Jane, and many other members of the resistance were friends, celebrating all holidays together as one big family. Realizing that the number one in the Phoenix group is William, Gabriel destroys the information. At the film's end, William uses an invisible bomb and descends into the underground, where he eliminates the legislators. The plan works, and soon people around the world begin to resist the aliens to regain control of Earth.